Several years ago, a friend of mine was the Rosh Machaneh, the head of a camp for underprivileged children. They would bring these children to a nice seaside resort for about 3 weeks, take care of all of their needs. They would have a fantastic time, great food, entertainment every day. It was just relaxed, and it was a wonderful opportunity for them to get out of their surroundings, out of their family structures, which were often very, very difficult. And there were people who would donate towards this camp. There was a certain clothing group, and they said that you can bring the kids into our store. They can come for the day, and we will sponsor them. They can spend, I don't recall the amount, 1,000 rand on clothing. So this friend of mine was discussing this with somebody else, and this person said, what do these kids need to go to that upmarket store for? Wouldn't it just be good enough for them to go to, a regular basic retail chain? He was completely shocked at this. And he said, they may be poor people. They may be underprivileged people. Doesn't that give them the right and the dignity to look nice and to be decent? They also deserve to go to a store that sells nice clothing. Why should they have to go to a cheaper store? But this person couldn't wrap their mind around this concept. And in fact, this is an idea that is addressed by this week's Parsha. In Parshat Korach, the Torah tells us about all of the gifts that had to go to the Kohanim. The Kohanim received 24 gifts. They didn't have any agricultural land. They were the teachers, the rabbis, the priests, the ones who worked in the temple, and they needed to be provided for by the community. In other words, they lived off welfare. And when people are living off welfare, there is an understanding, there's an attitude, well, they're living off welfare. They don't really need things that are that good. They can deal with the absolute basic. That's what we're going to give them. But the Torah says, no, it has to be mivchar. It has to be the very, very best. And one of the great Kabbalists, the Shnei Luchot HaBrit, Rabbi Hurwitz, says something very interesting, that there is a custom that if you're going to give currency to charity, you must give the very best currency. In the ancient world, there were many different types of coins, and some coins were better than others. There were some that were minted better than others. There was currency that was better. And he says the custom is always to give the very best coin to the poor person so that he'll have no problem taking that coin and spending it. It has to be the very best legal tender. And that they shouldn't get the basic, but they should give the best. Why is this so? Because the mitzvah to do charity is a very, very great mitzvah. And just as it's so with each and every mitzvah, the Torah tells us, Zeh keli va'anvehu. This is my God, and I will bring him splendor. That means that every mitzvah you do, you have to do in the most beautiful way possible. So why should charity be any different? If you're going to give charity, give it in the very best possible way. Make the person feel dignified, like a real person. In the same way that the Rambam says that there are 8 levels of charity. And the lowest level is where you give money and you don't give enough and you give it with a grumbly, unpleasant face. Oh, you might as well not have done charity at all. But the very highest level is to provide somebody with a career, with a partnership, so that they're able to support themselves, so that they feel a sense of dignity. In fact, the Talmud goes so far as to say that if you have a poor person who previously was very wealthy, and when they were wealthy, they had a slave who ran in front of their horse. So technically, if there's enough money going around, you should bring this person back to the level that they were accustomed to, and they should have a slave running in front of their horse. And in fact, there is a story that that's exactly what one of the sages did. That he saw there was a poor man who used to be wealthy, and he went and he supported him, and he personally ran in front of his horse like it used to happen when that person was wealthy. We shouldn't look down on those people who need welfare. It just so happened that they were given a hard break in life. But as the Talmud says, poverty and wealth is a wheel, and sometimes you're at the top, and sometimes you're at the bottom. And really, it behooves people to make sure that those who are less fortunate than them are looked after, and are looked after in the most dignified way possible. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.